In the Garden of Gethsemane, we witness a scene of deep human weakness. The apostles, those closest to Jesus, cannot stay awake to pray with him. Moments later they scatter in fear, deny knowing him, or even betray him outright. These men knew Jesus. They had walked beside him, seen his miracles, and heard his words. But still, in his hour of greatest need, they failed him. This failure is not just a story about them, it's a revelation about how God works. Jesus did not choose 12 extraordinary men. They were not soldiers or scholars, not born leaders or hidden geniuses waiting to be discovered. They were fishermen, tax collectors, and ordinary laborers, broken, flawed, and by most standards weak. And this was deliberate. We often imagine that saints or prophets must have been made of something different, that they were destined from birth for greatness, like John the Baptist in the desert or a missionary who gives up everything for the poor. But in Gethsemane, that illusion falls apart. The apostles were not inherently noble or heroic. They were fearful and uncertain, as human as any of us. Their transformation came only later, after the resurrection, after the descent of the Holy Spirit, when divine power filled what human nature alone could not sustain. What seemed impossible for them became possible through God. The lesson is clear. Our calling is not to set out to do great or noble things on our own strength. The goal is simply to be faithful, to say yes to whatever God asks of us in each moment. When we obey, even imperfectly, God accomplishes what we never could. And when we look back, we may find ourselves astonished at what he has done through us. Outsiders might say, that's impossible for a human being, and they would be right. It is impossible, unless God is the one acting within us. Most saints, I suspect, never thought of themselves as extraordinary. They weren't chasing greatness, they were simply doing what they believed God asked of them that day, feeding the hungry, forgiving an enemy, or persevering in prayer. Yet through their quiet faith and courage, God's power was revealed. Their lives point us beyond what is humanly possible to what is divinely real. They remind us that what does not make sense within human limits can only be explained by grace, and that, when we surrender to that grace, our ordinary lives too can become places where God's glory shines.